everybody. It's good to see so many of you attend, webinar on the midweek in the afternoon. We've had about just shy of 150 people registered for this webinar, and to see more than 50, 60% of you guys here is really warms my heart. So thank you again for coming down and showing up for this exclusive webinar titled Adopting and Adapting Flexible Work Arrangements. My name is Haris Malloy. I am the head of marketing at JustLogin. I'm proud to announce that this is supported by Black Mountain Group, as well as IHRP, the Institute for Human Resource Professionals. There will be two presenters later on. We have Victoria Pretty from Black Mountain, as well as Chiou from JustLogin, as well as Stephen Fedor from Black Mountain, CEO, and also Mr. Aslam Sada, CEO of IHRP, for the panel discussion as well. Let's introduce our first speaker. We have Victoria. Let me just bring out my notes for Victoria's bio. Of course, she can introduce herself, but let me begin. Victoria is an accomplished human resources consultant with over 20 years of experience, including 11 years in Asia. She specializes in enhancing people management and leadership capabilities through training and coaching, as well as advising companies on their people on a people strategy, organizational effectiveness, employee engagement, and building high-performing teams. Victoria has held senior leadership HR roles across various professional and boutique industries, where she focuses on guiding organizations in management and employee growth. Victoria, take it away.
Thank you so much, Haris. Thanks for the introduction, and hi, welcome to everyone. I'll get straight to it. I'm assuming that all of us on the call know about flexible working arrangement request guidelines coming into play. And if you don't, I'll obviously go through it, but I'm assuming that we all know what's coming. So I'm going to talk about the bottom line. Really, what do you, HR leaders and businesses, need to do? From the 1st of December this year, every employee in Singapore will have the right to request flexible working arrangement from their employer. So this is Singaporeans, PRs, foreigners. Every employee will have that right. And all companies need to have processes and documentation in place to deal with those requests, to accept them, review them, and respond to them. So really, everyone in your business needs to be involved. And when I say flexible working requests, I don't just mean working from home. Obviously, we've had hybrid working for a few years now since the pandemic. And yeah, we've seen it's worked for businesses and people. And employees now are expecting that flexibility to continue. But it's just not working from home. It could be part-time hours, different hours of work, compressed working weeks, annualized hours. The types of flexibility is not limited within these guidelines. Applications do need to be documented, and yeah, like I said, everyone needs to be involved in your companies, from the leadership teams, from leaders saying, well, how can we accept flexibility? Is it going to be within our business model? Managers need to absolutely be involved in reviewing the applications and understanding what practically will work in their teams. And HR as well, if you have an HR team, they'll be great at seeing consistency across the business and making sure that these application reviews are fair and equitable for people in the business. From my point of view, as an HR professional, communication is key. So again, a communication plan on these upcoming changes is really, really important for you right now. And hopefully you've all started to think about this. The communication to the employees. Are you going to do a big bang launch to say, hey, we're really embracing this and you're really welcome to apply for flexibility and how you can do this? Training for managers is so important, like I said. I see it as the managers owning the process, reviewing the applications, but they've got to be on the same page as leaderships. What's the culture in your company for flexibility? What's been done before? Do you have informal arrangements at the moment, or do you have a policy in place? If you've got a policy in place already, brilliant. You've already done a lot of the work, but now's a great time to make sure that it's aligning with the TAFEP guidelines. The documentation, like I said, the time to reply to employees on their application requests. So really good time to review. Informal arrangements can still exist. But when we're talking about these flexible work arrangement requests, we're talking about the formal ones, the ones where it's actually going to change someone's hours or someone's place of work permanently. And that needs to be a really big decision to see if it's going to fit in with your business. Listening to your employees is going to be really key in this. Do they want more flexibility? Do they think it will work for them? But then for you as the business, you need to decide, will it work for us? So listen to your employees, train your managers up on it, and definitely think about how you're going to communicate this to your workforce, because they will be expecting this come 1st of December. I wanted to show reasons for accepting or rejecting requests. And Black Mountain, we've worked with a lot of clients already to help them implement this process within their businesses. And a question we get all the time is, how can we reject an application if it comes in and we don't think it's going to fit with our business? You can't just say, no, your request is declined. You have to give this legitimate business reason. So these examples are actually taken straight from the TAFEP website, which you can all access, and there's a range of documents to support this change management. If you are accepting flexible working requests, business reasons are a lot around engagement, employee engagement, supporting well-being, work-life balance, and also dependent on the role. How flexible is this role going to be for reducing hours or changing hours or working from a different location? Flexibility can really impact your employee value proposition, boost your talent attraction, which we all know is important. But if you get a request and you really don't think it's going to work for the business or for the role that the person's in, a lot of these reasons are going to be around productivity and your business model. So compatibility with the role. A lot of roles need to be physically present somewhere, whether that's in a customer environment or a warehouse environment or a manufacturing environment. So physical presence is going to lead a lot of your decisions and may give you the reason for rejecting. And again, customer service, it's such a key part of all of our businesses. We really need to think about the customer, as well as trying to think about the employee and how we can make them more engaged or happy at work. Now, we don't know on the 1st of December how many requests we're all going to get. There might be quite an influx of them as it's a new scheme, or people might wait and see how it's going to work. But my personal opinion is the requests you're going to get are maybe going to be a lot from working parents. Maybe your kids get picked up from school to go to school at 7:30 a.m. and you're ready to work then. And actually you'd prefer to work 7:30 till 4 o'clock when they return from school, because that's when you've got that time to go to the office or work from home. I think another big request you're going to get is about working from home. Since the pandemic, we've been trying to get people back into the office and providing incentives for them. But I think a lot of the hybrid working models I've seen is quite discretionary and quite informal. If someone says, I want to work from home 3 days a week or 4 days a week, or actually 5 days a week, you have to understand their reasons for asking for this. It needs to be a reasonable reason. It could be, I've got a dog I need to look after, or elderly parents that I need to care for. But as a business, you need to be thinking, well, why should we accept this? Because is this going to have an impact on our productivity at work, or our customer delivery, or our servicing? So the reasons employees give need to be pretty robust as well as having those legitimate business reasons for declining. So a couple of things here as well. Like I said, these flexible working requests, these are going to be the formal ones. So once it's accepted, it will be a permanent change to the employment terms and conditions. That means you will have to write an employment contract addendum to confirm what the new hours of work are or place of work is. So the decision needs to be quite formal. A trial period can definitely help, and TAFEP are really, very open to trial periods, maybe for 1 month or 2 months. You could say to the employee, yep, okay, let's try it out. Let's see how it works. But again, I'd advise you to really document that almost as a bit of a productivity plan, when someone's working from home or if someone's working part-time, is it having an effect on productivity or collaboration within teams? So trial periods, great idea. But again, at the end of it, if as a business you're saying, sorry, it's not working for us because of these reasons, yeah, employees can still appeal. They can disagree with your decision. TAFEP are saying that if they are appealing, you should follow your usual grievance procedure. So again, good time for you to think, do we have a grievance procedure in our staff handbook? This is usually sitting with the disciplinary procedure, or how can we make it a bit tighter? How can we, use it to possibly respond to any of these appeals from the flexible working requests? So like I said, this guidance, these reasons, you can use these as an example. They are available on the TAFEP website. And I just wanted to talk about the amount of work that has gone into these guidelines. I mean, TAFEP have been working on this for over 2 years. They've been talking to all the government bodies, MOM, NTUC, industry associations, SNEF. They've got a lot of feedback from employers and employees. And even me, myself, I've heard from employers about how they're worried about this, how this is going to affect their business. So, official concerns around operational feasibility, productivity costs. If someone wants to do a job share, you might have to hire someone else to share that job. That's going to be a cost involved. And fairness, obviously, we're saying some roles, this will be more aligned to working from home, working shorter hours, but not all roles. And so where's the fairness if you're approving someone's flexible working request because they're in a certain role, but you're actually rejecting someone else? So all of this has been put back to TAFEP to say, well, how do we deal with this? And they've responded with very clear rejection guidelines, like we've seen on the last slide. Really looking at the need for documentation to kind of prove or explain why it will work for a business or why it won't. There's specific guidelines for some industries as well, manufacturing, hospitality, F&B, as well as corporate office workers and office roles. And there is a lot of support still out there. So obviously this webinar today, we have our IHRP here, which is great. We can hear from them later. Like I said, please do look at the TAFEP guidelines. There's so many resources on there. Myself, Black Mountain, we can help you, especially if you're sat there thinking, oh, I haven't started yet. We've helped a lot of clients coming in and helping them implement this. And if there is a cost that you're worrying about, the Productivity Support Solutions Grant you might have heard of, you can actually use that to offset some of these costs that you might be facing as a result of flexible working. But at the end of the day, this is a lot about employee engagement. It's a lot about making sure that you've got a happy and productive workforce. And if flexibility is going to help that, we should really be trying to trust our employees to make it work for the business if this is what they want to be doing. So the bottom line is, start now. Think about your comms plan, think about the documentation, think about how managers are equipped to review these applications and respond to them fairly. That's all I wanted to go through. So back to you, Harry.
Thank you so much, Victoria. That's really insightful, honestly. Yeah, now we'll move on to the next speaker. Let me just get back to my slides here. Again, if you have any questions for Victoria, you can put it in the Q&A section of the Teams webinar. All right, so I can ask the questions there and we'll save some time at the end to answer most of them. All right, if we can go through all of them, that would be fantastic. All right, so next we have Chiou to be talking about digital enablement, rethinking the workplace. Now, quick introduction of Chiou. He's the current advisor for sales and marketing at JustLogin, helping oversee the sales and marketing aspects of the organization. Chiou has also founded 2 venture capital-backed internet companies, which were eventually acquired. Plus, he holds a degree in operations management from the National University in Singapore and an MBA in international business from the University of Southern California. All right, Chiou, take it away.
All right, thank you, Harris, for the introduction. Let me just bring down my deck, and then we can go from there. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thanks for sharing your afternoon with me. I currently, as some of you might have heard of, met me before in my previous seminar. I've actually been with JustLogin for quite some time, and I've dealt with a lot of customers like yourself through the years, and I've seen how the HR climate has changed quite a bit. So today, I think I want to based on to segue a little bit from Victoria's presentation, I'd like to talk a little bit about a few changes that's going on in the workplace. I mean, I think most of these are pretty obvious facts, something that we've been preaching quite a bit for the last many years, that since JustLogin has been going through this digitization journey with so many of our customers. So before we start, I mean, I think the main point here is, let's think about your workforce, right? I mean, I think most of you will probably be, some of you here are business owners, HR managers, and generally you're running a business or you're running your employees. And I think one of the key things that a lot of employers tend to kind of reflect back to us is that employees nowadays are hard to manage, things are different, we got different behaviors coming from different cohorts of employees. And I think one of the key things that you have to find out is that today's employees are a mixture of a few Gen V, Gen Y, Gen Z kind of cohort. So, and one thing you realize is that these different cohorts behave a little bit differently, simply because of the evolution of internet digitization over the last few years. The rapid digitization, the rapid growth of internet has changed a lot of behaviors and work engagement methods. Like, for example, I mean, one of the key things that you probably encounter a lot most nowadays, I mean, the Gen Ys, Gen Ys, if you think about it, it's 37% of the workforce cohort. And this 37% of cohort, kind of grew up in the 1980s to 1995, where they were born in this era, right? They actually grew up in the place where internet just started, right? They grew up with tablets, they grew up with computers, they grew up with internet, and they are right now in the age where they are doing a lot of they're starting a lot of .coms, starting a lot of internet companies, they're going into a lot of startup environment. They no longer do the traditional way. And they're talking about Gen Z, which we're seeing a lot nowadays, the TikTokers, nowadays can't really talk to Gen Zs anymore. You have to WhatsApp them, or you have to TikTok them, right? You no longer can do a face-to-face conversation with Gen Z. They're brought up in a different environment, technology environment. And lastly, you're the Gen X, like us. Okay, for us, at least for me, right? I'm a Gen X. So being a Gen X, you grew up at a time where internet can hit you much later in life. You're still very comfortable using pen and paper in terms of filling your forms when you're growing up. And then suddenly digitalization came later in life. So people ask, I mean, at this age where we're kind of like maybe in the middle age or maybe near the end of our work life career, right? whereby we're looking for different, we have a different expectation in life, right? We tend to look for more work-life balance. We tend to stay in a job longer. So you have to understand that your company today, the workforce cohort today, is going to be a mix of all these individuals, all these characteristics. And the thing is that you cannot treat them all the same. So one of a few key things that come to mind recently is that employees have come back to us and telling us that, hey, employees are so hard to hire nowadays. They don't stay very long. And this is based on international studies, right? Nowadays, when I look at resumes, on generally, I see them staying for 1 year to 2 years on the job before they move on. And it's very common. Whereas cohort from my generation on the Gen X, they tend to stay 4 or 5 years, right? I have been almost in JustLogin for 10 years. So you can imagine the perspective of longevity in a company is very, very different. So today, what will happen is that you find that these workforce will have a bit more dynamic changes in your workforce. But the thing is, employees, so what can employers do about it, right? What can employers do about these things? I think the fact is that these characteristics is difficult to change. You as employer, you will not be able to change it that easily, right? So you probably have to embrace it and realize that employees coming in for your company, for a fact, they won't stay very long. It's a fact, they won't stay very long. So when you can't think about that, you have to design processes to cater the fact that your employees will have a turnaround every 2 or 3 years. There will be a new set of employees every 2 to 3 years. So you have to design processes around that. So this generated a series of workforce challenges for SMEs today. First, you're going to have a very dispersed workforce. Okay, some of workforce will be probably a lot of startups nowadays. I find that they are really MNC on day one. I have a developer in India. I have a contractor in Malaysia. I have maybe a team in Singapore. They're already on day one, day 5, 10 people employee. Their company, they already have a workforce scattered around the world. So straight away, they're used to this dispersed and virtual working. Second thing you look at is the gig workforce. You're going to get cases where, hey, I do not need to hire a full-time employee, right, for this particular role, because this role is only for maybe 2 jobs for 2 months, or maybe for a month, for a week. And there'll be requests, like Victoria said, a lot of requests coming from employees to work from home, 3 days a week, 5 days a week. So you have to deal with all these changes. And this is something that we have looked at almost for 5 years ago. And we've seen this change and changing at a much rapid pace since COVID. So what's going to matter for employees nowadays is digital experience. If you haven't embraced a digital experience within your company, you'll find it very difficult to retain your employee. I mean, if you gotta come down and say, hey, the first day of your job is to fill out 20 forms about your family, about your job, about this, fill out all in paper from it. You get a pen and paper, they won't do it. They probably quit the next day, right? So being able to handle things digitally, will actually make the employee experience a lot better. I hear of a lot of peers my age when they come to expense claims. They always, oh, the system they use is so bad that just because of that, I spend 2 hours a month or half a day just to do my expenses. You will hear complaints like that. So what kind of system you embrace within your company makes a lot of difference with your employee experience. So in JustLogin, our perspective is always been to look at this employee experience. And since 5, 6 years ago, when we launched our digital and mobile app, this is what we envision the digital experience of employees should look like. Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the video, it was created almost 5 years ago, but today it's more relevant than ever because fact is, we have saw this happening, and true enough, 5 years later, everyone, I mean, with this new flexible work arrangement, it's going to be more relevant to you than ever. So one thing about this, since we have looked at this problem for the last 20 odd years, we have today built a very robust all-in-one HRMS system. Everything that you need to operate your HR on is on the web, is on the cloud, is on a mobile device, and it's all compliant to all the government regulations. So one key thing that I like to highlight is today we have made JustLogin a lot more comprehensive, right? In the past, we were a little bit more focused on payroll, attendance, and leave. But today we encompass things like expense, benefit, people, recruitment, onboarding, custom form, appraisal, and visitor management. All these are new modules that we constantly add to our application platform. So if you're looking at a HR system, to improve your employee experience, we would definitely here to help. So one thing you have seen me kind of drop in there is, how about AI? How will AI play in this role, right? I mean, AI has a role to play, and not only just talking about job displacement. Everyone's a bit worried about AI coming in or being displaced with jobs. But I think one of the key points here is AI can enhance this employee experience. So let's take a look at how we look at it, right? I mean, this is our current AI, JustLogin. Why if we add AI, infuse AI into our platform? This will be something of that, that could actually happen. This is something that we have built we have baked AI into our platform. This is what you get today. So now you can actually ask, instead of looking into JustLogin to look for information, you can actually ask our AI chatbot within JustLogin, and the engine will actually create all the necessary the AI will actually go into your engine and JustLogin and read all the information presented in a format that you can understand, right? You can ask them all sorts of questions, and the AI will actually go in and figure that out for you. So we have baked a very powerful AI engine into our HR system. So to kind of enhance the employee experience for yourself and for your employees. And this is how we apply AI within our recruitment service. Like, for example, we can actually have you upload all the resumes into our recruitment portal, and what happens is the AI will read the resumes for you and list out all the best candidates that based on the AI engine, and a much faster pace that humans can read resume, right? It'll actually score them and actually tell you which are the possible best candidate based on the resume data, and tell you why. So this is all already live today. We have baked it on the system. We made AI part of our engine, and hopefully it'll help you improve your AI experience. And the next thing based on the flexible wage arrangement is coming up on the 1st of December. I mean, to help you along, we have also rolled out custom forms. So to help you with your process, we can actually build a custom form. You can build your own custom form, right? I want a flexible work arrangement request, right? Instead of you going through different forms and trying to keep track of that in one centralized database, we have baked it into JustLogin, and you can capture this request straight into your HR system. So you can create whichever custom form based on the policies that you have already designed. Choose the fields that you want, and our system will suggest fields that you need. For example, over here, we actually show you, based on suggested, AI will suggest some fields that you should add into your form based on your requirements, and help you create the final form for your AI requests, for your flexible work arrangement request. So and this will be routed through an approval engine, which then you can let the line managers set approvals and keep it as a record of in your HR system. And all this is really baked in within JustLogin's platform today. So if you're keen or interested to explore our AI solutions, HR solution, feel free to reach out, and our reps will help you along the way. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Chiou. I think when you said that we are Gen X, I think you gotta probably speak for yourself there. It's a lot of young people in this room, all right? And now I'm just gonna come to the time for our survey. So you've heard already from Victoria, you already heard from Chiou. We have a quick survey. Next after this will be the panel discussion, but I just want to spend just 30 seconds to have this on screen. So if you're interested to kind of just fill out a quick survey, there's only 5 or 6